Hi everyone, today our guest is Dimitar Ouzounov, the CTO of the fast-growing document management startup Documaster. While headquartered in Norway, the company has a core development team of over 50 people here in Sofia. In the 6 years since its inception, Documaster has helped over 200 public sector organizations improve the way they preserve and reuse documents. Dimitar will share insights on many different topics. Why is the work on document management technology so exciting? And also, what does it mean to develop products for the public administration? And now that Documaster has entered the private sector, how is that different? We'll also talk about Documaster's technical strategy and what, in Dimitar's opinion, are the fundamentals of strong engineering teams. And of course, how he went about building one and Documaster. So let's get started. Hi Dimitar, thank you for being with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. In the office after this coronavirus, work from home for 2.5 months. I feel really glad that I'm here, back.
Awesome. Okay, I'll start with an easy question. What's the thing that excites you the most about document management? You've been working in this field for nearly a decade now.
Well, yeah, I've been working in the field of document management and records management for quite a few years now. And I'm not sure how many people actually realize this, but a lot of organizations out there, their daily work is focused on documents. They produce documents, they work with all kinds of documents. Those could be legal documents, reports, pictures, videos. And surprisingly or not, we live in like in a relatively modern age. We have a lot of technology, but there are a lot of challenges that organizations face daily when they work with documents. So they ask themselves the question, okay, how to store electronic documents without much hassle, but in a way that actually allows you to easily retrieve them afterwards. So if to store a document in a system, you have to, let's say, tag it with 5 tags, figure out in which folder you want to store it. Maybe it's going to be very easy to retrieve it afterwards. But what happens is that if it's too difficult to store a document in a system, well, people actually don't store the documents, and therefore they cannot find them afterwards. So another thing, which is kind of an interesting question: how do you find the definitive version of a document? I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have this. They generate a report, and then the report is called final report version 1, final report version 2, final report version 3, final. Obviously that doesn't work, so you really need to be able to find the definitive version of a document that you want to use for whatever. It's also an interesting question how to dispose of documents because you no longer need them, or because you're required by law. So in many countries in the EU, including certain types of documents, they have to be deleted after X amount of years. And it's an interesting question. How do you do that in a controlled manner? Also, how do you preserve the organization's most important documents so that they also bring value in the future, not only now? How do you manage access to the sensitive documentation of the organization? And for public sector organizations, this is really interesting. How do you publish your documents and thus increase the organization's transparency? Because I know it's not a big thing in Bulgaria, but in Scandinavia, they really love organizations like citizens. They love all public sector institutions publishing their documents, making them available online so that anybody could search in them, mostly journalists. So all these questions, they don't have clear answers. And the thing that really intrigues me to this day is that we keep looking for solutions, we keep researching, we keep experimenting. We haven't stopped doing that, and I don't feel like we have all the answers yet. We don't have all the solutions, and I think we have a lot of work ahead of us. This is what like makes me live document management and records management. I really feel like we can add value not just in Norway or Bulgaria, but like on a global scale.
Yeah, I can see you're definitely passionate about the topic. I'm curious, how do you go about building the technical strategy of a fast-growing startup like Documaster? Like over the years, what were some unforeseen challenges in scaling a public sector focused application?
Let me start with the stack. So most of us in a company, we have a very strong background with Linux and open source technology. So it's not surprising that our tech stack has been built around the people and around what they know best, and this is open source. And we always have tried to select technologies that may not be extremely popular at the time, but which our research shows are production ready, and which our research shows solve our particular needs. And we actually ended up building our own cloud in Norway and Sweden. And this was done because of legal requirements in a public sector institutions in Scandinavia for data to be inside the borders of the country. And also because public clouds didn't really satisfy all of our requirements. When it comes to challenges, I think one of the major challenges we've had is the fact that we wanted to build a SaaS application from the very beginning, and what we saw is that okay, we had our own cloud, we started getting our first customers with this SaaS application, but there's still a lot of old school thinking in Scandinavia, both in Norway and in Sweden. What we see is that there are institutions who have their own IT departments, their own server rooms, and they really believe strongly that they can do a very good job at hosting their own software. And so what happened is that we started getting our cloud customers, but gradually we also got some on-premises customers who got our software and installed it on premises. And it took us quite a lot of time actually to try to convince them that it's actually best for them if they run our software in our own cloud instead of installing it on premises. And there are many reasons why they should prefer our own cloud instead of running this on premises. We have a really nice monitoring solution. We have a really nice strategy and mechanisms for taking backups. We can guarantee certain uptime that they actually cannot guarantee in their own server rooms. And basically, we also offered some other features that they don't get. So we could actually offer them something called secure cloud, where they have site-to-site VPN. They can run their application basically as a service, but on dedicated hardware. And I actually think that we were the first company to offer such a cloud service in Norway and to really scale well with it, because all the other companies, they've pretty much been in this on-premises business where they sell the software, it gets installed. And I really like that over time we got to convince most of our on-premises customers to move to the cloud. I think this is a great achievement for us. Another thing that I've been seeing lately, which I couldn't see, let's say a year ago, is we've been trying to move our MS Office add-ins from the native application world to the web add-ins technology that Microsoft offers. And even though that technology is really good, what we've seen is that occasionally Microsoft just break things. They break some APIs, things stop working, and we've had to kind of adapt to that situation and try to find the right solutions. But I'm really looking forward to, let's say, 6 months from now, when this technology for Microsoft will be more stable, and I think our add-ins will offer a lot more features than what we've been offering our customers with the native desktop applications.
And now you're also starting to provide an offering oriented to businesses. Is the development of a product for the corporate sector different from that for public institutions, and how?
Well, it may sound a little bit surprising, but our public and private sector products, they use the same backend. Same backend component, but the user interfaces are different. And the reason is that the concepts that the user interface is exposed to end users, they really vary between the public and private sector, even though the products they serve roughly the same purpose, the same need in both cases. And today, the development of our new private sector product is in a state where we were with a public sector product several years ago. And this is really challenging for some of us because we had to go back almost to square one with the new product. I mean, we had developed something, we had matured it, and now we have to go back to square one. The good thing is that when going back to square one, you actually get a chance to reinvent some old concepts. You try not to repeat old mistakes. I think this is very important. And with this new product, we experiment a lot. We added some new technology. We do more frequent releases than the public sector product. And we basically adapt the development process as we go. And I think over the last 1 year, we realized that what works for a mature product, such as our public sector product, does not necessarily work that well for a brand new product that you're developing. And I'm actually really curious when the private sector product becomes mature as the public sector product, whether the two development processes will be roughly the same, or there's going to be some differences? And I'm really curious when we actually start developing another product, how its development process will compare to these two. I honestly don't know.
Can you share a bit what else is on the long-term technical slash product roadmap for Documaster? And did the past few months with the whole quarantine situation change how you planned everything?
The coronavirus situation, it did change many things in our lives. To say otherwise, it would be weird. But the funny thing is that we've been getting quite a lot of new business during this coronavirus virus crisis. I don't know really why that's the case, but it is the case. And I'd say that we're really certain what direction we're taking, where we're heading from this point on. So in the end of last year, we got our first private sector customer. It's actually our first big private sector customer, and it's actually our biggest customer as a company. So now we're delivering the product to them, to their customers actually. In the public sector, we are releasing soon a look portal that would allow public sector institutions to publish their documents and metadata and make them available to citizens. We're also working on a brand new user interface in the public sector product. And finally, over the last few years, we developed a very interesting, it's a niche product. We don't really, we as a company don't talk a lot about it because it's related, what it does, it helps archiving institutions preserve relational databases in the long term. So it's not something that anybody could use. But we've been getting quite a lot of traction now in Norway, and we're thinking of expanding that product customer base in European countries. So I hope that happens. Let's see.
How is being the CTO of Documaster different now compared to when you started a few years ago? How did your responsibilities and mindset evolve over time?
I'm a developer by heart. Let me start by saying that. I started coding when I was in school, and I was what you would call a geek. I guess I'm still a geek. I mean, I don't consider myself a geek now, but a lot of people tell me I'm a geek. I don't know where truth lies. But when I went to university, I realized that technology is pointless unless it solves actual problems. And I still remember I got this textbook, one of the few textbooks I actually bought because they were really expensive. It was there was a foreword by Bjarne Stroustrup, the creator of the C++ programming language, and it was saying exactly this: don't study computer science just for the sake of being a programmer. Study computer science to solve problems. And then I realized in university that to solve problems, you actually need to understand the people whose problems you're solving. I mean, you don't just coding doesn't do you any good. You have to understand what kind of problem you're solving. You have to be able to talk to the people whose problems you're trying to solve. And I quickly figured out that to be able to do that, you actually require a slightly different set of skills from just pure programming skills. And I try to focus on acquiring those for some time. When it comes to Documaster and me being the CTO of Documaster, my responsibilities, I think so far have changed in the company, have changed every single year. I don't think there are 2 consecutive years where I'm doing the same thing. So it all started with me doing coding with my only developer, a colleague at that time, a guy from Norway, Frode. If he listens to this, cheers. But at the same time, while I was coding, I was talking to potential customers, talking to investors, participating in sales meetings. Next, I had to help open our office in Bulgaria, help with recruitment while still coding. And these days, I'm no longer coding. It's not because I don't want to, it's because I don't have the time, and I feel like I can actually help with doing more high-level things, and I'm focusing on things like architecture, development process, and the overall well-being of the company.
From your perspective, what are the fundamentals of building a strong engineering team, and the things that you always kept in mind as a leader of the technical side of Documaster?
I would try to describe what a strong engineering team is to me. And this is what we imagine here at Documaster. This is what I've always thought of when I thought of a strong engineering team. So as a start, you need to have people who find meaning in what they do. So strong engineering team is a team where people find meaning in what they do. They need to be free to share their opinion and participate in taking important technical decisions. That is very important for everybody to have a voice and be able to say, okay, let's propose a technical solution. And then we can all gather and just decide, take the decision. And also, I think it's very important for people to be able to follow their passion. And when I say that, that could actually mean very different thing for different people. So some people want to be hardcore developers. Some want to work with architecture. Others want to organize the work in the team. Others want to talk with external parties who want to integrate with your API. So it's a lot of different things that people like doing. And I really believe that in a strong engineering team, you allow people to basically follow those interests that they have. And it may sound really surprising when I say this, but not everyone can thrive in such a team. And we actually take the time to find the right people for our team. We never do mass hiring. So I think recruitment is like a part of the game. So I told you what a strong engineering team is, and I told you that, okay, not everybody can thrive in such a team. So what we do to find the right people is, as a start, I'm not really interested in whether a job candidate is a senior or a junior developer or infrastructure engineer or QA. I don't really get impressed easily by CVs or diplomas. We have a technical task which is especially specifically crafted for each job position that we have, and it's very simple. If you provide a good solution to the task, it's quite likely that you do very well on the job. And I've seen some marvelous solutions by people coming straight out of university. And I've seen people with 15 years of experience, doing not so well. And I must say, it's all about attitude. So if you have the right attitude, that really helps. And apart from the technical skills, there are three qualities that I really value in my colleagues in my workplace, and not only there, I also value them, generally in life. And these are things that I say to each person who works in Documaster and each person who applies for a job in Documaster. So the first thing is you have to be motivated by what you do, because if you have the right motivation, even if you lack some skills, you will acquire those skills and even more. The next thing is to respect your colleagues, because you may be the best technical person, but maybe there is another person who is more experienced as a person. So you can always learn from your colleagues, and you should always respect them, and they will respect you in return. And you always need to try to help your colleagues. What I see in our team is that quite often you get asked by a colleague about something, you will, even if you're doing something really important right now, you always help. And this really helps promote knowledge, share knowledge within the company. I think this is extremely important.
One maybe final question. You're also an adjunct instructor professor at the American University in Bulgaria. So I would assume you're interacting with a lot of junior programmers. What advice could you give to young software engineers and the ones that are at the very beginning of their programming careers?
Yeah, I've been teaching short courses at AUBG for some time now. I've been teaching a Java development course, a DevOps course. The reason why I decided to do that is very simple. I really wanted to share with students things that nobody shared with me when I was a student. Because when I was a student, I still remember when I got out of university, I did my internship, and I remember how much I didn't know. And it would have been so great if somebody could have just told me, okay, learn this and be aware of this or that. So my first job, it was a very nice experience. I learned a lot, but it was very painful in the very first month. I was even questioning if I should be a developer or I should be something else. So that's why I'm trying to kind of pinpoint topics that students should be aware of when they get out of university. So one thing I tell to everybody is that to be able to write great code, you have to debug and read tons of other people's code. It's pretty much like writing an article or an essay. You cannot write a good one unless you've read many books before that. Another thing that I've been stressing is that being an engineer, being a software engineer, be it a developer or a infrastructure engineer, It's not just about code. It's about writing good documentation. It's about communicating well within your team or in your company. It's about also being able to describe your ideas clearly, even to non-technical people. And of course, I always talk to my students about the three qualities I value in my colleagues. I tell them the importance of motivation. I tell them why it's important to respect others, and I tell them why it's important to help others.
Okay, I think these are great messages to finish our conversation with. Thank you once again for being with us, and I wish you and Documaster lots of success in the future.
Thank you.